All right, guys. So I am so excited to have you part of class today. And someone in the last class suggested doing a butterfly, and we've already done a butterfly, but another flying bug that I don't mind, it's kind of pretty to watch, is the dragonfly. Who was excited about this when they saw the picture? Were you excited about doing this? Okay, I was too, but then I also had to do a little extra work to figure out some things. And then there was one part I completely messed up the head and I had to repaint over top of it. And I was like, I messed this whole thing up. And I wanted to share that with you because I still do that. I still get to a part where I go, man, I messed this up. There's no way to fix this. And then I did. Can you tell that I painted over white and I had to redo a whole area? You probably can't. I probably can because I did it. But I wanted to let you guys know that it's okay. There is no messing up. There's always a way to fix it, and I can help talk you through that if you ever get to that point. So don't ever stop, don't ever give up in the middle, and don't ever think, that's it, it's a goner. It's not, okay? So we are gonna be using kitchen sponge. We're gonna do this for the background instead of the a paintbrush because we're gonna go ahead and use it. It gets it in faster and it helps us blend those colors really fast. We're gonna be doing a red and a yellow and kind of blending that in the background. So let's actually go ahead and just get started with that because it's just going to be the plain, those two colors right now. So I'm going to put my example over where you can see it. Can you see that? Yep. And then there's my blank one right there. With a sponge, we need to make sure it's not hard. It is soft. I sometimes go ahead and dampen it, and then I just really make sure, see, actually I had mine too wet. If you can squeeze out drops like I'm doing, that's too wet. So I got mine too wet. I need to have it where it's damp, but not dripping, because that water is gonna add to the paint and will make it kind of runny, and we don't need it thinned out too much, especially for the background. I can always add a little more moisture, but it's tough with a sponge. It really holds so much moisture. So we're gonna grab some red to put onto our plate. Get a good amount of that out here. Pardon the bubbles, mine are near the end. That always happens, those little bubble sounds. And then I'm also gonna get some yellow out. I space them out on my plate because I'm using a sponge. I give myself a little more room instead of right beside each other to get the colors that I want. And actually, it will be helpful to have a little bit of white out as well. White is going to help us kind of get this medium kind of peachy color that I got. And it also will kind of help with the transition in between the two colors. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my sponge. So you can see I've used this a number of times already with paint. As long as you rinse it out, you can be able to reuse it again, which is a great tool. And I'm going to grab, when I say grab, it means I come to the edge of the circle of paint and I kind of pull and get it on to the thing that I'm painting with. So this time it's a sponge, sometimes it's a brush, right? So I'm going to grab some red just on that edge right there. Do you see the edge of the sponge? So it's not all the way on the top. It's not all across the top, the bottom. I have a spot that I can hold it and not get my fingers too messy, right? And then I'm gonna go straight to my canvas. And we're just gonna be doing downward strokes with our sponge. So I'm just gonna come here and just start going straight down, and I'm just going to cover this first part right here just straight with our red. Whoop. Okay, I dropped that, but it's okay. I should probably be wearing, I always forget, I'm bad about wearing aprons to protect my clothing. If you do get paint on your clothing, a little trick is rubbing alcohol can help try to pull that out if you got a big spot. But it doesn't always work. It's probably better to have an apron on and protect your clothes, because when acrylic paint dries, it actually turns into a form, it's actually a plastic. That's why it doesn't wash out. So it's not based with water. It's actually based with plastic. All right, so I've kind of done part of the way. Now I'm gonna go ahead and this time I'm gonna grab some red and actually just a tiny little bit of the white this time. I'm gonna get kind of a little bit lighter red as I kind of streak next to it. And that white, the white actually helps to cover the canvas a little better. If you see your red and you see like, man, it looks like it's not covering as well. It's a little, the red's a little translucent. Our strongest color that we use is the blue. But adding just a little bit, in fact, I can go back over a little part at the beginning right here with this red. It's got a little bit of white in it. And I can even kind of really push down to get the color out of the sponge. We can put a lot more force on the sponge than we do on a paintbrush. The paintbrush needs to have a little lighter hand on that. As we keep going across, now about that midway point, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding yellow to the red on my sponge. So I'm gonna grab this time some red, and this time I'm gonna grab some yellow, and actually I am grabbing just a tiny bit of white. So it's kind of interesting. You see all the colors, I don't really have them well mixed on the sponge, because once I get them on the canvas and I pull, I'm gonna be mixing it basically there. So I'm gonna take it now, and I'm just taking it and just pulling it straight down and letting it mix right there on the canvas, all those colors that I just put on the sponge. And it's giving me kind of this medium orangey color. You see a kind of transition from the red to more of this orange color. And I sometimes have to pull my canvas out a little off of my easel to get this bottom edge. The sponge has a harder time getting to it. Now, since I kind of already have a lot of red on the sponge, it'd actually be easier to get more of a yellow. We're just going to be grabbing some yellow. It's okay if it has a little bit of the red from where you grabbed before, but a little bit of the yellow, a little bit of the white. And as I'm pulling with my sponge, it's still grabbing, it still has some of the red from before. So it's making this lighter yellowy orange. If I grabbed more red right now, it would probably be a darker. But just pushing on the sponge with the red that's already in the sponge, it's giving me that orange yellow color. And we're just going all the way across. There we go. This is when you can also, as you can see closer, remember if you ever see any little white little dots, it just means you don't have enough paint there, that the canvas right there just kind of got dried out and absorbed too much of the paint before it spread all the way. So all you have to do is just grab some more paint. And again, I like the sponge because you can just really push on the sponge to kind of squeeze more of the paint out. We wouldn't be this aggressive with a paintbrush. That would probably make the bristles come out. Also at this stage is the part where I really like to go ahead and do the edge. I already see Jessie is doing that. She knows with a sponge, it's so much faster and easier to do the edge of your canvas. So mine is white right here right now. So we can kind of do, if you want to, where it's exactly like red on this side and orange on this side, you could, or it could just kind of be kind of a red-orange blend that's kind of that medium color. Whatever is coming off on your sponge is fine. It'll just have color on the canvas and look finished. So you can even just go back and forth like you're scrubbing, like you're cleaning the kitchen countertop with your sponge, but really it's with paint. And just go all the way around. So then I can just, remember you can always turn a canvas to any angle that you need to if you're having a hard time. It is never bad to turn that. go ahead and get that last edge for me. And again, I do a smaller canvas and I go faster on purpose. You are not behind. You are not, oh no, she's gonna leave me. I'm not. I go faster so that I have the time to not just focus on my painting, but focus on anything that you need or questions that you have. So do not feel rushed, that you do have time, no worries, to be able to finish that. And we are going to need to have this to dry. So we're not going to do tons and tons of paint on it. We want to make sure it's a nice thin coat so it will dry quickly. A thin coat of acrylic does dry really quickly, which is nice. If we do too many, that's when it starts to glob up and stay wet for a while. So we're going to do that. If I see any touch-ups, I may gently touch up, but I really don't want to add any more paint to this. With your sponge, this is the part where if you want to make sure you can use this again, sometimes what I just do now is I just put it in my cup of water and just let it hang out there. It's not going to fall apart like a paintbrush would. And then later on, when we're done with our class, I'll take it to the sink and I'll rinse it all the way out. So that is the way to keep using that kitchen sponge. The more we reuse, the more money we save your mamas and daddies, and they will be much happier. So you don't have to keep buying more stuff. We can reuse stuff all the time. So how are we doing? Kaden, you all good? You got your background in? Oh, I think she might be frozen. That's okay. Oh, you're getting your edges, okay. Kaden, your picture froze for a second, or you just look like you were just holding your hand on your face. There you go, good. Kendall, Sydney, we doing good? We got our backgrounds in? Awesome.
It's a lot more orange on camera, but it's got red.
That's fine. I know sometimes we've had trouble where the camera will show the colors different than how it looks to us in person. What matters to me is that you're happy with the way that it's blended, or if you have any questions, you want to change it. So no, I'm good. I'm good if you're good. Let's see, I wonder if, oh, maybe that will, I'll have to see. I changed it from being able to see participant list to now a larger thing and see if that changes on the recording. I'm testing stuff out today. All right. So the next thing we'll actually be using will be our chalk, which is again why we need this to be a little drier, but the chalk will not mess up the paint really, and it'll, yeah, mine is basically almost dry. What we're going to do is we're going to use the chalk to give us some guideline outlines. So we're going to kind of give some lines and kind of draw in some shapes. So this is, we'll have a little bit of drawing, but drawing that is easily fixed because we're using chalk. So do not worry. That's why we use chalk. If we're drawing and then we're like, oh no, I messed up, you just wipe it right off. This is the best kind of drawing that we're going to do. So let's see. Make sure that you guys can see the example, and I can see the example too. Okay. So are we at a point where people have finished? If you don't get to the edge right now, you can always go back and do the edges later, which that is fine.
Mine's is not dry.
It's not dry yet? Okay, yeah. What I want you to do, if you don't have, sometimes it's handy to have a hairdryer, but if not, you can do like what Jess was doing, and you just wave it like you're in church with the fan. You wave it, and you can let that dry. Yeah, I know, Kiki, you've got some of the paints that got a little more wet, like they're more liquidy, right? So yeah, those take a little bit longer.
Yeah, my mom bought some new paints a couple of days ago, like this.
Oh, good. Yep, those are nice.
And I even have some watercolor paint, so.
Ooh, you'll have to have fun with that then. All right. So Lily and Alexa, where are we on you guys for how dry? Is it still pretty wet?
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You guys may have to do the fan your paintings as well.
You can get a plate. You can use this for the fan.
There you go.
You're welcome.
Or just pick up the painting and you fan it like this. It's okay.
Pizza sauce.
No. All right, guys, I may have you just watch while we move on to the next step, but it's okay. It's just chalk. You're not even worrying about paint or anything. You can just kind of see what is the next phase. We're waiting for everyone to kind of dry some. That's okay. Shanta, you too? Yeah, you got a fan going? Okay. Jess, yours is still drying too, isn't it? It's interesting. Painting, sometimes what slows down the process is really just the drying time, which we have no control over sometimes. We just have to go with it. Let's see, while we're waiting for people to give a little drying time, does anyone want to share? Let's see, what can we share about? Did anyone get to watch anything special that happened on TV yesterday?
My favorite part of the inauguration. My favorite part of the inauguration was the poem.
Absolutely. She did amazing.
And I thought she was a little girl. Like I thought she was like 12 or so. She's 22 years old.
Yeah, I thought she was younger too. I know.
Yeah, I thought she was like, yeah, like a little girl.
Jess, what'd you see? What'd you like? Yeah, Kamala, yes, right? What'd you like about seeing her? You can unmute yourself. Oh, except for when
I was just gonna say, like, it's very special, like, because it's like the first Black woman that is in, like, that's like the vice president.
absolutely, yeah, that is to be sworn in such a high office. That was very special. I actually got really teary-eyed when I saw that happening. So that was super cool. Does that make you feel excited or happy about ideas about what you want to do with your life too? Yeah. Kiki, you want to say something? No?
Well, I didn't actually get to watch it because I was distracted. I didn't get to see the kids version. My teacher had it for us.
I'm glad you got to watch maybe a little bit of it. That's cool. So that was very special. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I tried to watch that live yesterday. Lily, it looks like your arms are gonna fly off soon. Oh, King, you wouldn't have been lost. It was just more seeing the whole ceremony and seeing what they did. It was just what they do for every president, where they have them put their hand on the Bible and say, you know, yes, I promise to do the duties of a president and protect our country. So that was just what it is. It's the first, I will admit, I have not seen very many in my lifetime or never really took notice of it. So I was trying to do something to see something very special that happens whenever there's a new president. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and move us on to the next step. So even if your painting is not completely dry, there will be some chalk that will still show up for you. Alexa, I still see you painting, which is probably not the best thing unless you're trying to take paint off or try to spread it out more. Like that'll help it dry faster. Perfect. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is go ahead and grab chalk. The little trick that I do, the reason that my chalk actually gets to a point is I actually have like the big crayon pencil sharpeners. You can actually put a stick of chalk, and that's how I will sharpen my chalk and have it like a pencil point. So that's a little trick you can get. I got mine, I think, at the Dollar Tree, of course. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a line. And this line is going to be kind of a diagonal line, and it's going to kind of be the length of the body of our dragonfly. So that's going to help us kind of see where our base of everything is. So I'm going to start, for me it's about a finger's length down, about 3 inches down, and here in the corner. And then I'm going to go to almost the edge of the painting there. Can you see that? I know on the yellow it's probably harder to see. As you can see, it's mainly that diagonal line. Maybe it's not exactly how my other painting is. Remember, I was showing you that I can't even make it exactly, but we're just kind of doing a diagonal line through. That's where our dragonfly shape is going to live, and that's going to help us. Okay, so then if you look back over here at the finished dragonfly, he has 4 kind of like, almost like weird pea edamame shapes on his body, and then we get to kind of more a couple of square sections before we get to his head. So again, using the chalk, we're just going to kind of give ourselves a little guidelines, which will be helpful when we're going to paint. So I'm going to start, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, on either side of the line is going to kind of intersect those pods, so it'll help me. So I'll do one. You see how it kind of looks like a beam now? So the line is through the middle, and I just did a arc on the top and on the bottom. And then I'm going to do another one like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, if they get a little weird shaped, this is chalk. I can kind of fix it, or later on when I fill it in with paint, I can kind of do that. Okay. I think I did them big enough. Should get us to where we're basically up at the top a little more. So if you need to fix the shape, that's fine. All right, the next thing that is the shape that we're going to do, instead of round kind of circles, it's going to be more of a box. So it's going to be a square, or actually kind of a rectangle. So we're going to do a rectangle like that. Kind of a funny shape, right? And this next one actually gets another smaller rectangle. Or actually, this is more of a square. This is a square. We have a rectangle and a square. And then the very top, it's on the top of the square from one corner to the other. It's just a little arc. Now there's some parts that we're going to build out more, but these are our basic shapes that are going to help us. Okay. You seeing that? And again, if you go, oh no, it's not looking great, all you have to do is you take a rag and you can just wipe off a section and fix it. That's why we're using chalk. So no problem. All right, next thing we're gonna chalk in is actually the wings. Okay, that's the next big thing. The wings, can you see on the other one? It connects between our square and our rectangle. That's where the wings join. That's where they come from. So we have our square and we have our rectangle, and right between is where the wings are gonna go, where they start. So one wing, let's see here, I'm gonna do these down wings down here because it's closer, and then I'll do those going up next. So this one, I'm going to, starting here between the square and the rectangle, do a little line out. Just kind of an arc, a small little arc out there. And then we don't even have the whole wing. So it goes like a small frowny face and a small smiley face. And then the next one is going to go down. Around like that. So we've got the shape of two wings, and you see how they're coming out from between that. I promise this will be the part where you feel like, oh no, I've really messed up or anything. This is chalk. We're not messing up, but this is going to give us more confidence when we have to fill it in, because then we're just going to be coloring at that point. Okay, so we're going to go over to this other side, and this one is going to arc up. And then this one is going to go like that. If we were being exact, I don't think that mine are perfectly symmetrical, but it's okay. One of the great things about doing a painting where you do a close-up of something is you can kind of get away. You can kind of get away with having the shapes not be exact. And maybe it's in the middle of flying, maybe it's turning. We don't have to worry about that. Does anyone have any questions on that right now? I know this, I'm just making sure you guys can see it. I'll bring it nice and close. And again, if you're like, oh no, I messed up, just take that drag, wipe it off. And even as you're painting this, if you start to realize it needs to be a slightly different shape, you'll just paint over it. So it'll be okay. And again, my paintings that I paint sideways teaching sometimes look a little sideways. So don't worry. Yours should look more straight on because you're looking straight onto yours. If you want to, you can go ahead and give it the little legs that are going to come straight out. It'll be on either side of where the wings are, down and down. But we'll paint those in near the very, very end. So those may end up kind of disappearing as we're painting. But that is our dragonfly shape. That's our dragonfly shape. Jess, how you doing? Kind of chalking it in. It's chalk. It's not permanent. It's okay. You can erase as you need to. So that line that we drew goes right through the very center of the body. So everything that we drew is centered off of that. So that helps us make sure that we did that. Right. Make sure and leave that where you can still see. Drink some water and stay hydrated. All right. It's looking good, yeah. Very good. Kaden, you can do larger wings if you wanted to. You see how I have the wings, how they're going more off of the canvas? If you make them a little bit bigger, you'll have more space to do more with them. Oh yeah, that's very good, Kiki. Yes, that's very good shape. So you'll have the shape in there ready, and then we'll start to color and fill it in. Yes, Sydney. Yeah, good, good, good. Yeah, yeah. Chalk is sometimes hard to see, but I think I see the right shapes. There you go. That looks good. All right. How are we doing, Lily and Alexa? Were you able to, can you actually see your chalk? Like, did it work? Is it dry enough? There you go. Good, good, good. Where's Lily?
She's quickly grabbing something, but I can show you her painting.
Well, if she's good, I just want to make sure she's not, if she's already done drawing it, then that's fine.
It's not bad. For his chalk. Wait, what did? No, I was wondering how you got that.
All right, so next thing we need to do is we're going to start mixing colors. If you see, the main base of our Dragonfly is green, but if you've taken classes with me before, you also know I don't have a green bottle of paint. If you do, that's okay, but I used red, yellow, blue, black, and white. Therefore, we're going to mix our green. So this is going to have us mix a number of different shades of green. On the example, I'm doing this while some people are trying to finish up their drawing. On the example, you're going to see we've got some darker shades of green, and then we've got to where we even have some white highlights. So we're going to be mixing dark, medium, and very, very light shades in order to kind of give this illusion. Who remembers, if you've done this before, what am I telling the story of? I always talk about, we tell the story of what, Kaden?
Light.
Light. So with our painting, we can tell the story of light. Where is light coming from? So when I look at this painting, I can tell that the light, whatever sunshine that this dragonfly is in, it's coming and hitting its body this side. That's why this side of the body is in shadow and this side has lighter parts on it. So that is, but the cool thing is that the wings, they don't need as much highlight because they're see-through. They're kind of this different thing. The light affects them differently. So set that back over here. I'm gonna pick up my paint plate again. So to mix green, I need what colors? Yes, go ahead.
Blue and yellow.
I do need blue and yellow, yes. We are going to utilize a little bit of white when we start to make it lighter. But blue and yellow is what we need. And this is where we're going to go ahead and we're just going to pick up a round brush. So I'm just going to use a medium round brush. If you're doing a much larger canvas, if you want to do a bigger round brush to fill in your space. But I feel like this brush, for the fact that we've got a lot of details already drawn in, it makes it easier for us to fill that in. So we skipped using a big brush this time, or a big flat brush, because I think this gives us a little more control with some of the rounded, curvy sections that we have. So I've got my blue on here. You see how when I was pulling from my yellow, I did red on this side, but this side of my yellow, I kept clean. I'll be able to get some clean yellow. If you don't have yellow that you can get to without grabbing some red, you might need to put some fresh yellow out in another space. Again, with my white right here, even though I've got some orange around it, on this side, it's nice and clean. I can get some clean white. So that's some of the paint management tricks it says. With a brush, it never wants to be with paint. It never wants to be dry. It always wants to make sure that we have it nice and damp. So I'm going to get my water, get it in there, and then just drag off the extra. All right, and we're going to start mixing up. We're going to mix up our darkest color of green first. So that is going to be, I'm going to grab some blue. Blue is a...
Mix green, 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 honey.
You're going to mix it?
Which one is it?
Which paintbrush? Here, turn them so I can see. Is one flat?
See.
It's
I think this blue one is flat.
Okay, do the other one. I think that pink one is a little more pointy, so I want it to where it gets to a nice little point. Okay?
Okay.
Awesome. I'm sorry, Kiki, I didn't realize you were asking which paintbrush. Okay. So I'm going to grab blue. Blue is a very strong color compared to my yellow, so I'm not going to need as much, but we are going to be mixing a decent amount of this. So I'm going to bring some blue over here, and then I'm going to come over to my yellow and grab a good amount of yellow, and I'm going to start mixing that. Start mixing, and get a nice deep green. So I don't know if it probably looks almost like black to you. I know in the light, the way to lighten it is just to add more yellow. If it still seems too dark to you, add a little more yellow. We kind of want this, yeah, it looks almost like black. That's so funny. That's the camera's messing with us, isn't it? I bet you as soon as I put it on the canvas, it's gonna look different. Also, it's gonna be going on this orange-red color. So it already kind of will change colors a little bit anyway from what it looks like on my brush. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill in the circle thing, like, I don't know what they're called, the circles on the body, the rectangle, and the square. So that one is just going to be just follow your chalk lines, and you can paint right over the chalk. And we're just going to fill them in. So it's a pretty dark color. This is our base color that we're doing. All the lighter colors will pop on this color. So we're just gonna keep going. The other trick that we will be doing, because we'll come back to different parts of the body, but then we'll also need to let them dry, is we'll bounce back and forth to doing the wings and then doing the body again. So that's the way we're gonna try to avoid the waiting around and waiting for paint to dry like we did before, but it's tough with the background, it really is. So just, and as you can see, I'm not even doing exactly where my chalk is, I'm using the guidelines, but I mean, once our painting dries, any chalk, we will be able to wipe off and you won't even see it. So no one will know that the paint should have been in that area. Now these circles do connect. If you see, they don't have any space between them. The paint does connect right there. And then this circle right here, we got to make sure that we can actually see kind of the line of this rectangle beside it. See, it seems so simple when we just talk about it in the shapes that are making up our dragonfly, especially since I don't know the scientific names for them. We'll just call them the shapes. This rectangle will actually end up being divided into 3 little mini rectangles. Here's the example right here. It'll have 3 little sections in that rectangle that will end up dividing it. But right now we'll just do the base, and we'll use the highlight to divide that. And then I'm gonna go up here and just fill in the square. We're gonna leave the head alone. That actually will be filled in with black later. There we go. That is good. The square near the head actually ends up being a little bit rounded. It's a little wider at the top, but the square was a good base to start. And actually the sides get a little rounded, if you can see. I kind of curved them just a little bit right there, just a tiny bit. So it's not a full square as much, but it gave us a good base shape. And now I'm going to rinse, 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 rinse. My brush, 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 brush. And we're going to move on to another area while this part dries. So, like I said, we'll be bouncing back and forth while different sections dry. Okay, so we've got the base green. It might have even gotten a little darker than when I first did it, but that's okay. The highlight colors will go right over top of it very easily. Acrylic paint, that's one of the great things about acrylic paint is it layers. It's actually all about layering. It layers really, really well. All right. So I'm giving you time to finish up that part, finishing up the body. Perfect. Good, good, good. Yeah, and I'm sure, yeah, it's showing black for me too, just like mine is showing black. I promise it's not black, and I'm sure you're going, I promise it's not black. It's a dark green. That's all we need. We need to make sure it's a dark green. Good job. Yes, yes, yes. I like how everyone's still keeping the shapes. Yeah, we're still keeping the shapes that we kind of took the time to drew in, because that's going to help us make sure that we still keep it looking like a dragonfly. That's good. Yes, good job, Kima. Good job. Kima, do you want to call? Do you want me to say Kiki or Kima? Which one do you want? You tell me.
It actually doesn't matter because Kiki's my nickname. So it actually doesn't matter.
But it matters to me because I want you to have me call you your favorite. So what do you want? Because I know like lots of names for you now. So which one do you want?
I like Kiki the best.
I will do that then. Perfect. Thank you. Names matter. Names are important, especially the ones you want to be called by. So I honor that. Okay. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and move on to do is we're going to do a little bit of blue to edge the wings. So this blue is actually going to be a light blue. The blue by itself is just too dark. So I'm going to take some of my blue. For me, I always like moving it a little bit closer to the color I'm going to mix it with, and I'm going to grab some of the white and get kind of a, you can probably see this color better. This is kind of more of a middle sky blue. Don't need too much, Jess. Not using lots of blue. We're just using a tiny bit. Like this is like the tiniest little bit of blue over here, although we will have some more blue to mix more green. So I guess you can still use the blue. So this is just going to be following this color. It's just going to follow the line, the outline of our wings. So in another painting that I'd actually seen as my example, they were using purple, but I thought blue is the same Same sort of thing we can do with our color palette. Purple is hard for us to mix with our colors. Okay, so I'm just gonna go right here and I'm just drawing a blue line, following the line I already drew. So that's all I did. We're gonna try and keep it thin. These are the wings.
Cause yours looks really good.
Yeah, I think I might lighten mine actually. I think I need to add a little more white. Make it a little bit light. We're making a light blue. And yeah, actually lighter is better because it looks a little more see-through, right, for the wings. So I think, yeah, I'll go back. See, I didn't mess up. I'm just going back with a different color and it's fine. I can go right back over top of it.
I might have to add white to mine.
Yes, you might need to add some white. That's why I did some blue and some white. And then my paint is actually kind of thicker. So sometimes I actually add even just a little bit of water to make it flow better. So we're just going to follow our chalk outlines. The other thing that chalk, when you paint right over the chalk, it will dry out your paintbrush. So I find myself having to dip and get more paint or maybe wet my brush a little bit. That is fine. It's just the chalk trying to absorb that moisture that we need, and we need it to make the paint go on the canvas. It's fighting us. It's our friend and then it fights us. I don't know. Is it a frenemy? I don't know. So we're just going to edge those wings. That's going to be the thing that gives it the outline, and then we'll fill it in. Not even fill in the wings. We'll actually just put some more lines within the wing to give it more shape. But we want these wings, we know if you've seen a dragonfly in person, it's different than a butterfly. These are a little more translucent, and which means you can see through it. So it's hard to try to paint something that you can see through. We have to we're telling another story, right? We're saying, okay, you can kind of see it with paint, but really you can see through it. So that is, you're right, Caden, I liked going back and doing a little bit lighter. So that is the outline of the wings. Outline of the wings, good, good. And while we were doing that, our body of our dragonfly was drying, which is great, because then we can start moving on to giving them, like right now, it's just a weird shapes and doesn't look. The story of light, like Caden said, is how we're going to give the illusion of it being a 3D object, shadow and highlight.
My body's not dry yet.
Your what? Your body of yours? Okay, you might need to try to wave your canvas again and let that dry. It's okay, even if we put a little bit on there, it's still slightly wet. We're still putting green on there, so it's not going to mix to a bad color. It still will go well on there, so it's okay.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to move on. This next one we're going to mix. I still have a little bit of green of this dark green, although it's starting to dry out for me. I may have to mix some more. But to make it lighter, which I want to do, I'm just going to grab a lot more yellow. I'm not going to grab as much blue, and I really want to make it light. And I might even grab just a little touch of white to lighten this up. You can probably really see now it's a much lighter green. Too much white is going to make it kind of washed out. We still want it to kind of be a little more springy, which is why we're going to have a lot more yellow. And I can tell now I'll be grabbing more yellow to put on my plate. But we want kind of this really kind of more of a medium green color. Can you see that? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right back over the body parts. This time I don't want to cover all of it. If I cover all of it, that means I've completely got rid of the shadow that we just put in. Instead, I'm going to come around here. Wait, I'm going to show you. Get closer. Here we go. I'm going to leave almost like a wait, where's my, yeah, a little, like a crescent, like a
Tiffany?
crescent. Yes.
Tiffany.
Yes.
Tiffany. That's a lighter green you just mixed on your brush?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to leave almost like a crescent shape of the shadow still showing, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the lighter green on the rest of it. But I can still see some of the darker color, right? It's not over the whole thing. So I'm going to just put some of this lighter green, but not covering all of it. It's more
an outline of dark green showing?
Right, on one side. We're going to say, so if you look at your canvas, the right side is our shadow and the left side is going to be the light. So everything, we're going to keep more of the dark stuff on that side, and then the left side is going to have all of the lighter shades.
What color did you use?
I mixed a little bit lighter green by adding some more white and a little bit more yellow. And this one, when I come up here to the rectangle, this is where I'm going to make three. I'm gonna leave some of the black, the darker green here. Look, I'm almost making like 3 little boxes here now, because that shadow in between is what's going to give some distinction between. I don't know what part, like I promise, I don't know the anatomy of a dragonfly, and I wish maybe I'd done research about dragonflies first, because then I would sound really smart. But when you look at this part, it's got 3 segments to it. So we're going to just paint where we can still see some of the dark in between and kind of make it 3 segments. So you can see that. I can make that 3 segments. And then I'm going to do some green right there on the neck. I don't know, the part where the head attaches. I don't know. I'm gonna have to name these parts of the dragonfly one of these days. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. So that's given us, now I've got 3 segments right here. Okay, I found where that sound was. It's fine. Okay. Thing that we can do also next is we're going to just be jumping to the next lighter and lighter and lighter stage. So again, it's okay now. We're doing just more green. It's okay if we do another layer. This time, I'm going to grab that same green and we're just going lighter. Like go really, really light. Go really, 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 really light. I'm going to grab some more yellow, I think, because I want to make sure it's not a washed out white. I still want to have that warm yellow, but I have got, it's a very, very light green. So that sometimes takes a lot of yellow with that little bit of tiny little bit of blue. It's always nice to pull it from the color you've already mixed to make it lighter than trying to start all the way at the beginning, because we've already kind of toned down that blue. We've already toned down the blue that we had there. So now this really, really light. Look how light that green is. We're really, really light. And this one is going to just kind of go almost like a half swoop on half of the body. You see that? So that's kind of more on our lighter side of the body.
Did you add more white?
I did add more white. Yeah, I did.
Miss Tiffany,
Yes, sweetie.
wait, can you show me the square part again? Or the
Yeah.
rectangle? Because I haven't finished with the like the medium green yet.
It's okay, yeah. Did you see how it's like three little,
I can't see it. You're frozen.
oh, okay. You were frozen, actually. You see it where it's got three little rectangles?
No.
Are they touching or not? Because I can't really see it that good.
They're not. I left some of the dark shadow in between them.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do the light highlight as well on the other side. I like your singing, Kiki. I'm gonna mute you, unfortunately, though. Oh, and I think Caden, yours was doing some feedback there. So we have the darker, kind of the lighter part. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and rinse out my brush. Rinse, rinse, rinse. And I think I need to put down some fresh white. I was dipping a lot into that to make the green, so I would like to get some fresh white out. And that white is going to be for our wings now. So we're going to go ahead and move on to looking at the wings in just a little bit. It's okay. You're still finishing. It's okay. If you feel like for me, I feel like I got a little harsh transition between the lightest one and my medium one, you can go back with your medium and just kind of blend it in between. That can work too. I got a little excited about making it lighter for you to see, and I can go back. We still have a detail of adding like actual white highlights. So right now it still seems a little flat, but you can probably start to see some more dimension to what we're doing. Good job. We doing good, Jess? That's fine. There you go. Yes, yeah. I can start to see, yeah, the dark side and the lighter side. Good. Yeah. I can really see the highlights and stuff. Yeah. It's the thing that really kind of helps. And actually, as I can see where I have accidentally left some of my shadow on this side exposed too much. So I'm going to go back and fix that for myself. Again, painting from the side, I guess it's easier for me to miss some things, but I don't want to miss it for you guys. I don't want to miss anything. So yeah, this left edge of the shapes are all with a lighter color, no darker showing through. There we go.
So
What? I'm sorry, I didn't see who asked the question. Go ahead.
We make the other side darker, right? Or do we just leave it?
If you still have some, so we still have some darker on one side of all the shapes, and then we just had lighter that we have on the opposite side. So you leave that darker part right there. That's giving us the dimension and stuff. Like that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Sorry, sometimes when someone starts speaking, I don't know who's talking. I'm looking at all the boxes. That's looking good, Kima. Yes, I can see where you still have some of the darker parts, but you're adding highlight. I can see you're getting a lot better at this, Kima. Kiki, right. I'm gonna start getting better. See, you know you're laughing at me. All right. I am going to move us along because technically we're a little past our art time, but I want us to be able to finish, and there's really not as many steps left because we're going to be getting into our highlights and kind of adding in a lot of white. Actually, if you've already finished this step, if you want to go ahead and put out some black just to fill in the head of your dragonfly, you can do that. So that's kind of this button kind of arc shape that we put. And it's just, we're just going to do solid black, and later on we'll go back over it and add the eyes. So this going ahead and being done will be good because they'll have a chance to dry. So that doesn't take up too much black.
Okay, Tiffany.
Yes.
I had to take a call, so
Okay.
I was just trying to follow what you were doing. I think my green is right. I don't know. But what are you painting on that top headpiece? You said black?
It's just solid black right there.
Does black go in between the green two?
No, that is that's just our darker color showing through. Mine looks like black on the camera, but that's the illusion that's already been created by adding the highlight, is now that looks so much darker in comparison. But actually that's just my dark green right there. The camera makes it look a lot darker.
But the black goes on the head, solid black.
Yep.
Okay, so I was just supposed to be shading the body part. I was just trying to follow what you were doing. I don't know if I got the right colors or not. But
no, it's fine. It was more just as long as you had something that looks more highlight and low light. You know how to do that. Blend your highlights and lowlights. So now the next thing, and if, like I said, if you can fill in the head, we'll let that dry. That one's pretty easy. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to what is next, which is our wings. The wings are really kind of fun. Now, here's the thing. I have, you can see my paint is pretty thick. It doesn't run. It's got a lot less moisture in it. I want it to be actually a little bit thinner. I do not want it to be solid. I want it to be a little more watered out. So I'm going to actually grab some water in my brush. Now, if you've got the kind of paint that comes more in a bottle, and when you put it on there, it would kind of run down your plate, it means you've already got some good moisture in there. which is good. We can work with that even better. Sometimes I've switched to a liquid white for this part, but you know what? We're going to use what we've got. So I've got it to where now you can see although it's white on white, but it's a lot more liquid. You see how shiny it is right there?
Did you add water?
I did. I added some water to make it kind of a little bit looser because I know, Kaden, you've got the same kind of paint as I do. So on the wings, what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a crisscross pattern. We're going to kind of do a crisscross pattern on the wings. All right, let me get you closer and I'll show you on one wing and show you what we're going to be doing.
What color?
We're doing the wings. You ready? With white. So I'm using white, but I got it watered down so it's a little thinner. I don't want it too strong. So it's not going to be straight lines. It's going to be curved, kind of curved lines, but it's going to be kind of like a tic-tac-toe. If you took a tic-tac-toe and you kind of tilted it and everything was curved, right? So I'm going to take this line and I'm going to just curve it that way. And then I'm going to do another line beside it and curve it down. And then another one, curve it down. And then this one, I'm going to come over here and this one's going to cross.
This is straight white.
This is, but I've watered it down to try to make it a little translucent, although it's still okay if you can still kind of see it. So that's how I do some lines. It kind of does like a little bit of a crisscross. We'll go back with a little bit more.
You're saying up and crisscross?
So it's going, it's like a lattice. It's a lattice, but it's kind of curved.
Okay.
So like on this one, I'm going to go kind of curve down. I'm kind of curving with the wing, and then I'm going to go across it the other way. So I kind of have a crisscross pattern, but all of them are curved. They're not really straight. That curve is just following kind of the rounded shape, in a sense, of the wing. All right, so I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna go over to this side to demonstrate. So these are going this way, so I'm gonna curve up this time. On this side, curving up, just kind of doing like little arches. And then you go on the other side and you go the opposite way. Trying to do it so that we can still kind of see through, right, where our background is. That gives it the idea that it's a translucent, right? We can see through this. So it's all about just going across. This is a big wing, so it's got a lot. It's got a lot right here. So I'm gonna just keep going. Going. Filling that in. And we're gonna do some kind of sprinkled in too, so it actually breaks it up so it's not too patterned, but maybe a couple little extra highlight streaks right there. Because some of this is about also creating that it's got a highlight. There's a shine to it, right? The dragonfly's wings are shiny. So here we go. And there has a little bit more white at the base of the wing too. So we'll kind of add a little extra white right there at the end of the wing, kind of going out like that. There we go. So there are the wings. We can still kind of see through them. It's not too much. If you want to, we can even add just the tiniest touch of a little bit of yellow to kind of add a little bit of highlight in there. Maybe just a couple streaks where some of the white is. I'm going to rinse off my brush, and really we are in the home stretch, guys. We're in the home stretch. We're going to be adding highlights to the body. We'll add eyes to our head. Yes, good, good, good. We're going to add eyes and some legs and maybe a couple little black swoops that add some detail. Look, I already got a black smudge. Oh, that went off the edge of my finger. That happens. I guess I'll make that into a black swoop later. See, I'm still messing up some. Very good. I like that, Jess. Oh, not Jess, that's Kiki. Your boxes switched on me. That got me. Yes, Caden, very good. All right. So now we are going to use just some straight white again, and this is where we're going to go along the body and just add some highlight. So it's going to be just a white little streak highlight. Even if it's not all the way dry, this white will still go over top, so do not worry. So this one, maybe I'm just going to do a little white streak there. A little bit there. Here, I'll just get closer. You see how it's just a little bit. There we go. Get some white right there. It's kind of also more near the top of these round pod, whatever thingies. It doesn't even go all the way down because the light can only hit the top part right there. That's the highlight on the body. I'm gonna go ahead with that little bit of, if I still have a little bit of that lighter green, is that the one I want? No, kind of like that medium green, if I can grab some of that medium green, and just gonna do 2 circles for our eyes. Now these eyes, they really, they bugged me. Sorry for the pun. I didn't mean that. they really were kind of, they're more near the front of the head and kind of ovals. They're not really circles. They're kind of a strange shape. And then we kind of do the same thing with them. Once we have a darker color in there, is we kind of put a lighter color to shine it up.
What color is that?
I did some darker green, and then I added another little touch of light green again. And then if you want to, Jess, you can even go through and add just that little light highlight. You see? And again, we're telling the story that all the light is coming from this way. So that's why the shine of the eyes are going to be on the left side, on both eyes. So I'll keep that closer so you guys can see. Right now, I'm not trying to hide behind my painting, but trying to let you be able to see that. To finish, last little thing, Jess, is if you want to go ahead and do the legs. We didn't draw in. There actually are 4 legs that go down from the body. And then there's the 2 that go forward. So you can go ahead and do the 2 that go forward. And then I'll show you how the 2 that go down from the body. But that's just solid black right here. They are wider or bigger at the bottom and they get skinnier at the ends is the little trick. The way these look like bug legs. Let me just get that, follow that chalk.
Is it black you're using?
It's just solid black. Yep, this is just solid black
Okay.
for the legs. So the black that you got out for the to do the head, you can just use some more of that black. Okay, and then the last little 2 legs, Jess, I'll show you this. They come out kind of like like the middle of the body right here, and they just go down as well. So kind of like where we have those little segments in that part of the body, it just kind of comes out from the, there we go, I probably should have given myself more room, but it's okay. If you curve your legs a little better. Yeah, Jess, it needs if it's an insect, it needs 6 legs. 6 legs. So you gotta make sure you got 4 on the bottom. I do know that part about insects. I remember that part. If it's 8 legs, it's a spider. If it's 6 legs, it's an insect. I got it. But don't ask me any more about that. Maybe next time I do this class, I will try to find some cool dragonfly like facts or something, trivia. I bet you I can learn a bunch of different stuff. The other thing I can do is with the black that's still on my paintbrush, we're going to do like a couple of little line swoops that are just going to give us some motion. Like I said, I wasn't worried about that black right there because we're actually going to do kind of some swoop lines. And they do not have to be solid, but it's just going to add a little bit. You can see I'm just adding some black lines, kind of like the dragonfly's in motion, and it's kind of, you know, with cartoons, when they say that it's in motion, it always has like these little drag lines behind it. That's what we're kind of saying. We're doing the same thing. We don't need a lot of paint, but just a nice little swoop. Yep, and
So
now I'm going to cover. What, Kiki?
We're making like little swoops around it.
Yeah, just a little bit. You see where I did the black? And I kind of curved it around there, and I did a little bit around the top of the wing.
Okay, I think I need a bigger paintbrush for that.
No. Use your skinny one. It's fine because we're just doing the skinny lines. We don't want it too big.
Okay.
Where did you say you put black? Let me see. You just kind of.
I'm kind of just adding like some detail movement lines around the wings. It's partially just filling up a little bit of that negative space.
Okay.
And then again, if your paint is dry, this is where you can just get a slightly damp rag. But I would recommend make sure your painting is dry. If you try to rub this and you smear your paint, you may go, I shouldn't have done that. I should have waited. Yeah, waiting is good.
And what are you smearing?
I'm just going ahead and getting the chalk lines off.
Oh.
But I'm saying be careful and make sure that it's dry or it will smear. We don't want to smear it, yeah. after all that work and all you're trying to do is just get the chalk lines off. Like I'm not gonna do the chalk lines around my legs because I think they're still wet right now. But that just will finish out our dragonfly. Actually, I think I did better on this one. Huh, you never know. All right, let me see if anyone is finished or wants to be able to show theirs off. I'm going to take a couple pictures for social media. And if you are watching this recording, thank you. I hope that you were able to see everything and follow along. Great thing is you can pause, rewind, and rewatch a section if you get lost or need some extra help. And I look forward to seeing you next time.